Hello, my name is Tanya Sheridan. I'm an independent consultant with Close to My Heart, and today I wanted to show you one of my create and takes for the expo event. This is a shaker box that you can make out of the Cricut. So you can see how you can shake it so slightly, and you can see all of the little gems are shaking through it. So I thought I would show you the reverse side. So one of the awesome things about Close to My Heart is our paper is all double-sided. So there's a beautiful pattern on one side and you can flip it and there's a beautiful pattern on the other side. So I thought since I have this sample that I've already done with the floral out, I would do this one a little bit more of the basic, or could be masculine, however you want to look at it. The concept's the same. So basically I cut this out on my Cricut. I actually sized this originally to fit around a Kit Kat. So the Kit Kat was what I wanted to give in my little box. It was a themed Kit Kat. It was for St. Patrick's Day and it was the shade of this julep color. And so it was absolutely beautiful. So I wanted it to fit in the Kit Kat. So to start out, what I did was I took the measurements of the Kit Kat and then just measured the center of the box so that it would fit around that space. And then everything else just kind of fell into place. So if you were looking to use yours as a gift, I can tell you that Kit Kats do fit perfectly the standard size. So what you're going to do first is cut out the piece, and I'm going to share, anyone who has purchased this Create and Take will receive my cutting file. Now you will have to have the cartridges or Design Space, or I'm sorry, Cricut Access in Design Space to be able to cut those, but then you can cut them however that you would like with my file. So just know that as I'm talking you through this, that you could easily reproduce these for wedding favors or baby shower gifts, or just little neighbor gifts right now. I know a lot of people are giving a lot of more happies because of this crisis time that we're in. So anyway, we're going to start out with the paper. I did go ahead and fold it, and so basically it comes pre-scored. It's going to score on your Cricut, and you're going to go ahead and just fold all of the little pieces along the score lines, and that's what I did. Then you're going to notice that I took this red line tape, and I think that it's really important to use a strong tape. You could use our liquid glass. It works very well, but because this is a demo and I wanted to be able to do everything live on the camera, I didn't want to have to wait for the liquid glass to dry. So just know that that's an option. I do love my red line tape, and I did get it at one of the vendors at the Scrapbook Expo. Actually, that's where I always get it, and I apologize, I can't remember who to give credit for, but it's fabulous, and it's a super tight tape. I call it red line tape. There's lots of different definitions or names for it, but that's what I call it. So you will notice that before I start really doing anything, I went around my heart as close as I could get with that red line tape, and I just wanted to go ahead and put that there and put it down so it wouldn't take me as long to do the little steps, so you can enjoy the more creative steps. So these are our shaker cards, shaker elements. They come in a package like this. They're called shaker window foam and acetate. I call them shaker elements. A lot of people call them shaker cards. However, I have learned to use them way outside of the realm of the box. So I tend to call them shaker elements instead of cards, because I think that there's so many more things you can do with them. And if you hear the word cards, then you think, oh, I can just use them for cards. So one of the things that you will notice is that these have a film on it, and you can use a pencil eraser, you can use whatever you'd like. I typically just catch it with my nail and pull it a little bit just so I can get it started, and it's only on one side. And you do want to make sure you take it off, because I have had people not take it off and then their whole project just kind of fell apart when the film decided to come off. So sometimes, and of course that's not the time now in front of the camera, but sometimes it comes off super easy and it almost rolls off, and then other times it's a little bit trickier. So this is my circle. You can see that. Okay, and I am going to put this over my heart on the inside of my box. Now I do want to make sure that I've already folded that, because I don't want this acetate to jab out on the side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this film off, and you can do this with any shape. So this box was in, I believe, Artiste, which is a lot of, it's our exclusive Close to My Heart cartridge, but it has a lot of boxes and projects and those type of things. So this space here in the original project is completely filled in. And so what I decided to do is I put an image in it, and then I sliced it and made sure that it fit within my element. Originally I did this with a shamrock because it was for a shamrock event, and it looked really, really sassy and everyone loved it, but we wanted to be able to do it again, not necessarily for St. Patrick's Day. So that's where I decided to do the heart. Get all of this tape off. This tape is super sticky, so it is wonderful because it will hold that acetate, and anytime I find that we do something interactive, people want to play with it, so you want to make sure you use a little bit more adhesive than you normally would. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fold this box because I want to make sure that the circle covers, but like I said, doesn't jab into any of my scoring places. I'll reinforce that fold a little bit, just like that. And you can see, maybe you can't see, but I do have a fingerprint on it. No worries, you can just use a little dry cloth after you're finished, but you want to press down to make sure that that stays tight, okay? So then the next thing that you're going to do is, this is the shaker foam acetate, or the foam for the acetate. So there is a rim all the way around. I don't know if you can see that or not on the camera, but the rim is what you want. The rest of it is just kind of filler, so it's like you're getting a bonus. You get all that extra 3D foam tape. It is the regular foam tape. It is not the height of the thin. So if you're familiar with Close to My Heart, you know that we have two heights. We have the thin and the regular. So this is the regular. And I'm just going to carefully pull that rim off. And this is what I need. This is all excess. So then I'm going to line it up to the best of my ability, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, I'm going to use that fold to kind of guide, and I'm sure that you could do this much better not under a camera and a light, because I usually do it much better not under a camera and light. Okay, so I want to double check, if you saw me flip it over, to make sure that none of that white tape is showing through my acetate. And then I'm going to flip it back over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this extra tape and I'm going to fill in some of the sections that are covered by the paper. And this round is wonderful because it already has a curvature on it, so it makes it much easier than just a square to kind of fill in those spaces. And they don't need to be perfect by any means, but the reason for doing this is you're going to use loose sequins inside of the acetate circle, and really, you know, there's no need to have the sequins all hiding up in the corner where you can't even see them. So this just kind of prevents them from getting around in the circle, and it just keeps them off more centered, keeps them out of the off-site parts. You do want to be careful that you don't cross over that border. And again, when I do this, I usually use the curved pieces because they just seem to work better with the small spaces instead of the big squares. And you don't have to get every single space. It just helps to maximize, that piece I cut is a little bit too big, maximize the sequins, and so that you don't use more than what you have to use. I'll get this one last spot. Okay, so then the next thing I want to do is I just want to carefully flip it. Again, make sure that I didn't exceed that space because that's kind of important. I'm going to reinforce that, and then I'm going to fill the center with the sequins. So these are our new containers. They are super stinking cute. They're very durable, and they have a screw lid, and that's so much better than our older style that popped, because when you pop the static from these sequins, they would kind of explode in your face, and of course we don't want that because we love our sequins and we don't want to waste them. So typically I use a spoon, but I didn't grab a spoon, so no worries. I'm going to put a few there and a few there. And normally speaking, I forgot to grab it, but normally speaking, I would glue down some of these little sequin guys with a mini glue dot. And I'm holding them into place so that they don't move around too much, but no worries. We'll just stick them there for now. So we're gonna you're gonna be quite gracious with these. We're gonna kind of just scooch them around. These are the julep. This is our color of the year. So unfortunately, it is retiring very soon. So if you were like me, I had never heard of julep before. But if you were like me and absolutely love it, then you want to stock up, because once it's gone and we come out with a new color, unfortunately, this one will go away. Okay, so I have my glue dot runner now. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna slide this over, is I want to pull that film off of a second acetate circle. So you, in a package, you will receive 6 foam circles and 6 pieces of acetate. So you do need 2 pieces of acetate for this particular project, but I'm sure that there's somewhere along the way that you're not going to use your acetate. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you watch the rest of these videos over the next few days with the shaker cards that I'm posting here to my page, you will see some different ways I use the shaker rim without the acetate. So it all kind of balances out in the wash. Okay, so this is my acetate that's going to go down just like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide my box out of my way, and I'm gonna take my glue runner that my helper just grabbed for me, and I'm simply going to glue down about 6 of these beautiful julep sequins. And I think I really need to order some more because I just can't get enough of them, and I'm so sad that they are gonna be retiring. But when they retire, come out with a new color. I personally am hoping for a periwinkle. I love periwinkle, but I have never been disappointed with our colors of the year. So I guess we'll all just kind of have to wait and see. Okay, so I'm gonna do, like I said, about 5. And the reason that I'm doing that is when the shakers settle, they all kind of settle to the bottom, right? Let me do one more. They all kind of settle to the bottom of the card until you shake them again. So if you glue some into place, then no one's the wiser that they're glued, and it looks a little bit more balanced. Ooh, I did not mean to just throw my scissors. Okay. I have a little guest on my page here. Okay, so now you can see here's the circle, and I'm gonna flip it over. So I'm gonna flip it upside down. But before I do that, I want to take off this rim. And you want to be careful when you take it off, because when you touch it, you don't want those sequins to pop up, which they have a tendency to do. Now, if you wanted to put an element on the inside of this and have it kind of look like it was floating, you could do that, but I would use the thin foam tape, which is going to make it a little bit lower than the thick, so it won't be touching the top of that acetate. And it looks very sassy. Okay, so I have all those little pieces off. You can see how it wants to stick to the edges. We don't want that to happen, but it's not the end of the world. And then when I pull this film, I'm going to hold down my piece because, again, I don't want them to shoot up and get stuck because this is very, very, very sticky. Okay, so remember the key thing is my sequins are on top, so I need to flip it over and adhere it right to the foam rim, just like that. And no one's really gonna see the inside, so if it's not perfect, it's really not the end of the deal, end of the world, I promise. So now you can see that they are gonna shake, just like that, okay? So we're gonna move our foam tape out of the way, and now comes the super fun part. So you can see that I've already used this mega roll of red line tape, and after I scored the lines, I went ahead and put the red line tape for time purposes on all of the flaps. So you can see there's one there and one at the bottom, up here, and off to the side. So then I'm gonna carefully just kind of fold it and work my way around. And there's really no right or wrong answer to which side that you start at. You just want to make sure that you get a crisp seal on each one. Now, if you're worried about stability, which I have made lots and lots and lots of these, we're talking well over 100. I think I made about 55 for one event, and I didn't have any problem. But if you're worried about stability, you could add an extra piece of cardstock right down here. Just cut it to that measurement, whatever that measurement may be. And that will just give it a little bit more of a foundation and make it a little bit stronger. You know, often when we purchase gift bags, if you've ever noticed, there's like a little piece of, it's a little bit lighter than chipboard that's quite often in. Now, where you close it, that's the only one that's really tricky because you kind of have to do both at the same time. Oops. So you're just gonna be very careful because like I said, once it sticks, it's done for. It's not gonna reopen without tearing. So I'm just gonna try to get it exactly where I want it, and then I'm gonna press down and just kind of hold the seam. And then what I usually do is I fold this flap at the top outward. So I folded them both ways so that I know that they're gonna be easy. And then I just kind of come in and reinforce it from the inside. And then that's what your box is gonna look like. So you could certainly add extra colors if you wanted. I loved this version. This is the color combination that I used for my shamrock. So the green was on the outside, excuse me, the julep was on the outside, and then you could see that light floral pattern behind the sequins, and I just thought it was gorgeous. And if you see, if you shake, they don't all settle to the bottom. Those ones that you put into place still allow it to shake a little bit, but they keep them centered. So then these pieces all fold into each other, and again, just fold them a few times. The one crease that I did not do is this one up here. So I'm gonna do that one really quick. That's the one I tend to forget. There we go. So you're gonna put your filler in. So whether it's your Kit Kat or whatever you want to do, then you're gonna fold these pieces in like this. And I tend to do this side over first. You can do it however you want. And then this side over that way. Now, I use a little piece of Velcro on mine, but it wasn't necessary. It very much holds it into place. So I don't want it to wiggle around while I'm doing the rest of my project. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie this piece of julep ribbon. Again, this year is all about julep with Close to My Heart, and I'm in love with it. I did a whole event just based on this color. And my scissors I kind of threw on the floor, so we'll trim that in a second. Flying scissors in my house, right? Okay, so you just need a little piece. You can have it stand straight up. I wanted it to kind of flare off to the side because that's the way that I like it. Thank you, helper. And I'm gonna trim this little frayed edge off. Our scissors are great for cutting those little edges. And I always tend to like a little bit more of an angle. So I just have it that way. You can see it wants to pop up. If it bothers you, you could put a piece of foam tape there just a little bit. But as it settles, it's gonna lay pretty flat. Okay, so then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna lay the box flat. And we're gonna use our shimmer trim. And this is also julep. This actually is not available anymore. However, we do have a white. So if you were recreating these boxes with this pattern paper, which is every little thing, it's still available in our stores. You could use the white, and the white would look very sassy as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be the julep. I also tried it with the gold because, again, I said I was doing shamrock, but we liked the silver better. The silver seemed to work better with the julep, so you could do whichever you'd like. So I'm just gonna take a little piece and cut it like that, but for time's sake, I already started my piece and measured it, and it's gonna go right to the bottom just like this. Okay, so before I do that, I have this piece of pattern paper. Now this is a scallop and it's in the cutting file. So when you cut the box, you're gonna cut this. And then I added all these little pieces. So you get a couple of circles, a heart, a scallop, circle, or oval that you could use for tags. Basically the paper was pretty much, I don't want to say wasted, but you couldn't use the paper. It would be hard to cut it just to fit this box. So I basically just filled in the white space with other shapes that I thought I might use. And so if you are cutting this as a file, those are there. Of course, you can delete those. You don't have to use them there, but they are on there on the file for you. So I went ahead and used the red line tape because, again, I think that it takes a lot of wear and tear. And this is the scallop. So if you remember on this one, I'm just basically reversing it since I reversed the paper. And I'm gonna put that on first, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm leaving enough room for my shimmer trim because I want the shimmer trim to kind of hold this down. I don't want it to end up popping back up. I made these for the ladies at the hair salon or the spa that I go to, and they absolutely loved them. It was just a fun little gift as a thank you. I put their tip inside, a couple pieces of chocolate. Now mine, I probably cut a little bit too close. So we're gonna try to make that work. I always like to leave a little excess when I cut my shimmer trim, attach it to the box, and then trim the edges. That way measurements, you know, don't matter as much. So that is that piece. Then the next piece that I did is this beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous paper. It is our holographic paper. I don't know if you can see in the camera how it catches the glare. There's two shades. There is the Oasis, which this is, and there's Dreamy, which is more of a purple and a silver. But this catches the light, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And it works really well up against those loose sequins, and then also with the shimmer trim. Okay, so I am going to tilt this so that I can see it better. I put foam tape behind it, just the thin, so it separates a little bit, and then I'm going to put it right in the center of my heart. Now, you might be wondering why I cut my heart out with my Cricut. By the way, the holographic paper works fabulous with the Cricut versus using something like the thin cuts. I wanted to make sure that the shape of the heart was the same. So when I used the heart out of the Cricut and then tried to use our thin cuts, which are gorgeous and stitched and beautiful on this holographic paper, the shape of the heart didn't match, and so it looked a little quirky. So I just decided to take this heart here and shrink it down so that it kept the same shape of the curvatures of the heart. So that piece is there. And then the last step is you're going to take your sequins. And again, these are very sassy julep that are retiring. And I just did kind of a cascading. I'm really into cascading right now. You could follow the curvature of the hearts if you want to, but I just love anything cascading. So I'm going to use 4 of the big. You, of course, can use whatever you so desire. You can use things at home. You could use stickles. Stickles would look gorgeous. And I am the queen of not making things look random. It is a real struggle for me. Or the struggle is real, however you want to say it. Mine always look planned when I want them to look random. But I don't want a perfect triangle. I want it, there we go. I want it more cascading. And then I will tell you a trick on these, oops, lost it on my finger. There you go. So you can kind of spread it out. But I'll tell you a trick on these sequins. So most of our sequins and our dots and all of our embellishment come in multiple sizes. And I tend to use a lot more of the little ones on my scrapbooking projects. And then I'm stuck with an overabundance of the large ones. So I try to use the large ones more on my 3D projects and my cards. To kind of balance it out so I don't end up with sheets and sheets and sheets. And they stand out more. So I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So that is your box. Same paper, same embellishments, 2 completely different looks, but both are beautiful in their own sake. So these are available in my shop here. You can purchase them as the Create and Take. You get 3 boxes, I believe, for $10. Double check that for me, but I think that's the way it works. And again, you'll receive the cutting file. So you can do the cutting file as many times as you want. I do have listed which Cricut cartridges I used. You can purchase those for me. I am a Cricut affiliate if you would like, or if you have the Access, then I believe Artiste is now on Access. So you have access to that there. If you are totally in love with the julep products, you will want to order those as soon as you are able to, because those do retire soon, and at this point they are on a while supplies last status. I haven't heard that anything is starting to run low, but as we come to the end of our catalog period, sometimes some things go faster than others, and then of course with the whole virus thing, shipping has been messed up all over the place. So anyway, have a wonderful night, and I hope you make everything sassy.